Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of the RSS with myself, Rashid Saleh, and of course Jason Sim, the Kuchingite. Now, today, or rather this edition, we've decided that we do have a topic that we'll be discussing, which is events. It's something that I first began, it was my first ever job in the corporate world. Actually, it's corporate world, yeah, it's probably my, apart from ESPN, which is sort of corporate.
Yeah, your first real job.
First real, my first real job, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. No, it's just a topic that obviously Sarawak is trying to do a lot of events, whether it's like a MICE events or entertainment events. So can you just share like a bit of your background in events?
Oh yeah, I started events in 96. This is after uni. I joined a company called Red Archer, which was also a company that was owned by my best friend's father. Oh. We were one of the first, I think one of the very few event companies in Malaysia at the time. This was 1996.
Based in KL, obviously.
Yes, based in KL. And at the time, there was no such thing as event companies, or rather the term events didn't come from, we like to think that we coined the term event management, which is what, because before that it was always called project management, or doing projects for events. And our company used to be called Red Archer Project Management, and then it was changed to Red Archer Event Management. Yeah. Now, the Red Archer, the name came about was, Robin Hood. Yeah. Steal from the rich, give to the poor. Yeah. So Red Archer was like, steal from the rich.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's what I was told. Maybe it's a myth, but yeah. And my first job, my first project was actually, and it's going to be a lot of brands we're going to be talking about, but it was Pampers Comfort.
Oh, Pampers.
Yeah, what I did was we had to convince the consumers that to change from the old cloth diapers. Mothers changed to swap their cloth diapers. The campaign was to swap their cloth diapers and change it into give them the new Pampers Comfort, which was the first. At the time, it was like a new brand.
So this is like a PR marketing event?
It was actually an event. Oh. For us, it was an event thing. The PR company, was it advertising company, engaged us, and we did the on-ground work for it.
So was it like a road show for Pampers?
Yes. So we went to medical halls, mostly medical halls in smaller towns. So I remember my first ever recce for an event was I drove along the coastal road to Malacca, Johor, to Pekan. I did the southern region at the time, because there was northern region, east region, central region, south region. That's how it was always broken down in those days. Oh. And I remember I spent 2 weeks going down, up and down the southern region, and then after the recce was done, got all the information, then we did the implementation, which was going down. And this involved basically setting up a booth at the said place or town, and then having our cloth, our Pampers Comfort samples out there. We made this like big balloon, like Pampers Comfort, like diaper, not bag. What was it? I should know. I'm a father. Yeah, a pack. Yeah. Like big one, like on top of our orange Pampers Comfort van, which we had to blow up with a machine every single time we went to a town.
I mean, so just a rough idea, like how many companies were doing stuff like this at the time?
And not that many, not that we were thinking of.
We're talking about 90s, right?
Yeah, this is 90s. So a lot of companies did their stuff internally. So they'd never engaged, outsourced it to a company. What happened with events in those days, I think a lot of it was we did a lot of the below the line advertising, which was for events.
Yeah.
So the advertising agencies would sell the idea to their clients, and of course they wouldn't do the stuff. They would, engage an event company or us to do all the dirty work, so to speak, all the event stuff.
So
on the ground events.
So when do you start dabbling into like maybe like concert events, like comedian events?
So we grew as a small company that did these kinds of things. I've done database management where we used to collect. We would collect. When they have competition in those days, so you got to write stuff down.
Yeah.
So we had one which was, I think it was first time when they first started having contact lenses. I can't remember who was it. So we had to, and for you to win, and
ancient stuff.
Oh, now you make me feel old. So and those days, you fill up the thing on the back of the pack.
Yeah.
You write your name and your address and your thing. So we had to go through all that.
Yeah.
Get the right answers. So, of course, somebody has got to do it. The ad agency are going to do it. So we did it. Database management. We will get, and we'll find, what do you like? Does this answer conform to this one? We would literally sit down with every single entry and fill it up, yes and no, and could KIV and all that, and do all that manually. This is way before we know. Of course, we had computers then, but, it took a long time to create all that because, Microsoft Excel, I can't remember whether it still exists at the time. Maybe WordStar.
Yeah.
That's how old I am. So, I still love my computer stuff, but, you got to key in all that data to do all this so that, you get the right information to give to the client. And there was, some of them were like some very subjective answers, like, why do you like so-and-so product? You're like, I love it because, but then there will be some really silly answers. You separate that, but you give to the client for them to decide. Then we used to do, we had Pepsi, this is slightly before my time, before I arrived. Pepsi used to be our client. We had Guinness Anchor. So what we did was we do market visits with the client and the promoters to promote, obviously, the drinks and stuff. A lot of that was not me, it was my other colleagues who had Guinness as a client. So once in a while we'll follow just to get, experience and find out what they do. So I used to go to coffee shops with the promoters and deal with people and, with the product. And it was such an experience because, if you've worked in events, there's no such thing as a 9-to-5 job. You're either working, according to the job, the campaign or the event. I did an event with, at the time, was Southern Unit Trust, which is now part of, which was bought over by CIMB, I think.
Oh.
So Southern Unit Trust, we did a small event for them to do their nest egg investment scheme or something like that. And we actually built a nest egg thing for them. And they were the client, and I'm very proud to say the first client that paid us 100% before the event started.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that, for
that's
me, that
rare.
was, very, not just rare, that's like the 1 in a million. We did also helped with the, I don't know whether people know what the Caratino oil, this like reddish thing.
Caratino?
Caratino, I think it's called. They launched it, and we actually helped did the launch. We also did the launch for Bonus Link.
Oh, okay.
When Bonus Link thing came out, and we did stuff out there. I've done stuff for IKEA.
How many of it were government in the early days?
Not many. No, see, that's the one thing that we did. We had a lot of corporate clients. We did the rebranding of Cellcom when it turned from something to a bird. So in those days, you had the Gobo lights, and that was a big thing. Like this is the late 90s. This is when the current, PM Anwar was Deputy Prime Minister.
Yeah.
And we did it in PWTC. Okay. So we flew in a lady from Australia just to do the decor for that dinner, for the launch, rebranding of Celcom, and that was a big thing. We've also organized the first ever international jazz festival, the Philips International Jazz Festival. That was in 1998. One of the headliners was Spyro Gyra, who were very big then. We had Pucho and the Latin, I can't remember who. There were quite a few. Greg Lyons sadly passed away. Very great. He was really good saxophonist.
You mentioned like you brought like Australians to do the decor, right? Like what's the ecosystem like in terms of like providing the equipment, like in terms of the decor and stuff like that at the time during the 90s?
What I see now here in Sarawak, it sort of reminds me of what happened in 3 or 4 decades ago. And everyone was still quite new and stuff. We were lucky also to have where our office is based, and the current office is still based in Sri Hatamas. About another block was another company that did sound and lights, and now they do big in fireworks and stuff. Global Communications, I remember, and of course the principal also sadly passed away. And we used to work together, and we used to have friends who did sound and lights, and these guys, depending on the event, they'll be like they'll come with their literally like their small equipment, and we'll do events based on that. But then bigger events, obviously you need bigger stuff. So you'd have to source for it, and then over the years you get to know all these people, and they'll buy more equipment because obviously the better they did, the more stuff they had, and it came to a point where they could hire their stuff out to other people, which is what's happening here. You have one big company, for example, I think Echo. They're a good company. There's a lot of government events, but we didn't do that many government events. A lot of the government events at the time, they did it internally. So we had a lot of corporate clients. We've had Marlboro. We've done stuff. The sales conference for Marlboro, Marlboro. We did my last event before I left. We did the Marlboro Adventure. So we built a climbing wall in Mid Valley for a competition, and we had all the cars.
For Marlboro?
Yeah, for Marlboro.
Okay.
So we built the thing, and they did, right bang smack in Mid Valley. It was awesome. It was a great event. So we, climbing wall and everything, competition was like bizarre. The stuff we used to do.
So Marlboro sponsored like sports events?
It was their event. The Marlboro Adventure team, and those days you could have the cigarette boys out there, doing their stuff. But as long as they're not one selling, I think were they selling cigarettes at the time? Yeah, even.
I mean, from my understanding, you just can't show the cigarettes itself, but nicotine companies could.
Yeah, brand, because it's just branding.
Yeah.
I mean, up until the point, like even with F1, you may remember, or you may be too young, when we used to have like Marlboro, in F1.
F1, yeah, that's right.
Rothmans and God knows everything else that they came with it. And then when they started like banning that, you'll just see that they were still sponsoring, but you'll only see the brand without the name, the colors and all that. So we've lived through that. I mean, I remember being in college, and we used to be able to smoke in college, and that's unheard of now. So in those days, events were, and were still sort of newish in the sense that you could still experiment with a lot of stuff. We did some crazy events. I mean, stuff that was like, now it's like everyone's can do anything, but in those days we set up systems that are now probably in place, which was something new then.
Have you had experience with like entertainment events?
The ones not that because we were quite specific in the launch of Miasat.
Oh wow,
Astro,
Miasat.
I was the lead for that. So we, remember they had the
Miasat
Philips.
1.
The
wow.
Philips the launch of Astro.
Yeah.
I went to the Bukit Jalil Astro when it was still being built. That's how, I mean, ironically, I joined Astro decades after that. But I was there when they were still building it in Bukit Jalil, because we were doing our clients at the time was Philips, and they were doing the decoders. Remember, that's a long time ago.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't one of the launches done by SpaceX? I could be really wrong. I mean, we could look that up,
because
but
I don't think SpaceX existed then.
I mean, apparently SpaceX did one launch from Malaysia. We're one of their earliest customers, so
right.
I could be wrong for that.
I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know about that, but
okay.
That was my client, and we were paid. I went to because we were doing the on-ground launching at the mall. So we did one in what is called Pavilion now, not Pavilion. Sorry, Star Hill.
Yeah.
And then I went to different malls around the country, so that we could place the massive big TVs and the decoder for the launch for that. At the time, the billing was.
So this would be a government event, right?
Sort of government event, because it was because we were working with Philips.
Yeah.
So we did stuff for Philips as well. We've done stuff for. Oh my God! Now you're making me think all the way back. It's a lot. We've done sports events. We've done.
I mean, if you obviously experience with like comedy events, if you experience with MMA events.
Before I forget, so Douglas Slims, his first gig was with me.
Oh really?
Yeah.
So you set up his first.
His first gig. We had this IKEA event. So we had an event for newly married couples who were about to get married. They stayed the night in IKEA. This was the old IKEA in Wanutama, not the one that they have now. And they stayed the night, and then they had like activities and all that, and Douglas performed. It was not stand up. He was playing. He was singing.
He was singing.
That was his first gig. I know how much he got paid as well, because we were the ones who paid him. But I'm not going to talk about that.
I mean, he's a singer?
Wait, he was a singer. He was a singer first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Something you don't know, right? Yeah, he was, which hence forth the song Kopitiam, the Empty Decorations, was his song. He created the song.
So he
You didn't know that?
I mean, he saw a career as a singer. I mean.
He wanted to be a singer.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he's very talented.
It's interesting how creatives pivot from one end to the other.
Well, because again.
So just getting back to events, it was interesting that you said that you see Sarawak maybe 10, 20 years the ecosystem in terms of events and stuff like that. I mean, could you just expand on that? Are we just lacking in terms of all the the auxiliary things that accompany the event companies?
You got to look at it two approaches. So one is basically equipment and everything that's tangible. I guess that one you can pick up and get yourself all speeded up.
Yeah, the market will supply it.
Because you can always get it anywhere. It's just funding.
Yeah.
Whether you have the budget for it, you can do it, and
So the other is the know-how.
Know-how, and also, you see, one thing about events is also mental. So, what I've seen here is, I think it's because, and maybe I'm going to probably be slightly, I will be brutal about it. We are weak in the sense that we don't. There's more competition obviously in Kuala Lumpur and everywhere else. Everyone's very ruthless, even in the TV industry. So if you don't buck up, you lose your job very fast. Here we have this tendency to be a bit more relaxed about it because there's not much competition.
Yeah.
So we don't have this urgency or priority when things go wrong during an event. They're like, maybe we can fix it. in KL, it's like, no, sort it out now.
Yeah.
Or you're out, I'll find somebody else. There, we're like, we can patch it up. Or we can, we'll think about it later, maybe, and that's wrong. When you're in an event and you want to do a good job, you got to do a good job. It's the same when we have in here, in TV, where you see, think, oh, this is good, but you really want our opinion on it? It's like, no, it's not, because these colors are wrong. What's your mood? This and that and the other. It's the same in events. You know, you can please the client easier here than you would in KL, and that's just KL. Around the world, it's even worse. They're even more. You know, you see all the events in America and all that. Americans, till today, probably the best in terms of entertainment events, any events, because they do it so well. They market it, and they make the event look so grand. In fact, some of it doesn't cost that much.
Is it because they are more like privately run events in KL?
Well, yes, and also in the same sense that they have more, they're much more open to creativity, whereas here we're restricted because, you know, this minister might not like this, or this person might not like that, so we can't do it like that. And it's happened to us before. It's like, oh, this would be great. Oh, but he doesn't like loud noises. Like,
Well,
yeah, who cares? It'll be really good, but you're bound by that kind of limitations sometimes, and it's really annoying because you want to do a good job for someone, but you end up having to limit yourself because the client, at the end of the day, your paymasters don't want it like that. But like you said, chicken and egg, you know, they want a good event, but they don't want a good event.
I mean, so how do you see the events industry in Sarawak? I mean, let's start with like just the smaller like consumer events, and like obviously you're running a PR company here. Like how do you see like PR marketing events, just like consumer PR, consumer marketing, and those events? And before we go into like big concerts and yeah.
I know where you're heading. Well, you know, again, we're still in. I'm not saying infancy. I think infancy would be the wrong word to say, but I feel that, again, there's no substitute to experience. We need to have more people around who know how to get things done, and a lot of those people are not here. They're in KL. A lot of Sarawakians who I know, not just in TV but work in events, prefer to work there because there's more to do, and you know, more opportunities, so they in turn get more experience. Here we are, again, generalizing, but we are content in what we have because it's what we have. So what, you know, the complaint will be like, oh, but we don't have this type of equipment, or we don't have this expertise, so we're only bound by this, which is also wrong because we need to do more. We need to do better. The more events we're going to get, the bigger events we have to be prepared. Or you'll end up doing what we've done in the past, is importing all the experts. And do we get a transfer of knowledge? No.
I mean, you've had experience with MMA events, with as like former president of MMA, right? So, like, would a one championship event be like viable here?
Yes, it would be. Again, one championship would be viable here. It's been mooted before because it's a single event, and it's in one venue. It can be done. We've always obviously demonstrated in the past that we can do this type of event. I think the biggest factor is just numbers to the stadium, which we'll get because people love watching, you know, boxing, martial arts, badminton.
So we have the venue for it?
We do have the venue. We can do it in Stadium Papaduan, the indoor stadium.
Yeah.
You can do it anyway because, you know, it's the perfect size for it. It's just a matter of obviously how you dress things up and make it nicer, and all that jazz. But again, will we get, because at the end of the day, this type of events draws in tourism.
Oh.
We need to have the infrastructure around it to be ready as well, the ecosystem around it, like hotels and stuff. But for one championship, that can be done, possible. Obviously, we'll probably need flights and scheduled flights to come in at the opportune time.
So is it a matter of like setting all that up first? Like going back to the chicken and egg thing, I mean, like, with this lack of flights and we obviously need more hotels. I mean, the government has
Well, you've answered the question, so you don't need to ask me that, because we need the infrastructure. We need everything. If we're going to be...
So we're not ready.
I'm not saying we're not ready.
Yeah.
We've done stuff already.
Yeah.
I mean, we're about to do SUKMA. But if you want bigger events and more numbers, obviously you need to build more accommodation, and I am sure that's in the plans, in terms of hotels and accommodation and transportation. The ART is going to be running by 2026, 25, 26, 27. That's when the SEA Games is going to be run.
Yeah.
Remember, the Commonwealth Games in KL coincided with the LRT being done at the same time.
So was it?
Yep. So that will be something good for the ART, because they'll definitely get numbers, because people will come to venues. Whether the routes serve where the venues are, yet to be seen, because we don't know what sports we will be taking on.
I mean, how do you see Sarawak's potential for events?
Events and, well, for me, events
maybe
and sports,
entertainment
events,
and sporting. Yeah.
I do believe there is a massive market for it, and a massive growth for us to be able to do it. Because remember, this year's SUKMA is very bold, because they are doing it in different 9 divisions, throughout Sarawak, and that's never been done before. Because the ones that we've done in the past, it's always either been in
Kuching or one
Kuching,
city,
one city or one town, one city lah.
Yeah.
And this time, you're stretching your resources all over the place, and that would be a good test for us to see whether we can cope with the SEA Games. SEA Games is obviously, yes, it may be half of what we're doing, because we're sharing it with Putrajaya or Cyberjaya, I'm not sure which one in KL. But you must remember, it's not just the athletes we've got to take care of. It's everything around them, the officials, the families, the fans, the tourists that come with it. Will we have enough to do it? The Premier said that he wants to have the opening ceremony. Now that's everyone. That's not 50%. That's all the athletes. Where are they going to stay for those 2 nights? And you're going to get tourists coming in, filling up the stadium. Our stadium is how many thousand? Our outdoor stadium can fit. It's going to be packed. And that's just that. And then what about the volunteers that come with it? And then everyone else. Everything's going to be converging into that one place. So SUKMA will be a good indicator, especially the opening ceremony, to see how we do. Because doing an opening ceremony for SUKMA and doing an opening ceremony for the Southeast Asian Games, 2 different ball games.
How do you see, like entertainment events, like obviously like Borneo Sonic, and then we have like Borderlands, like in the end of the year, and then things like,
So it's that Songwalk, is it?
Songwalk, say this month, I think. Yeah. There's also events like that. Is it a matter of is it a chicken and egg thing again? Like, you organize a big event, and then you like, is it targeted to tourists, or do you entertain like our locals first, or at an event on that scale? Like, how do you move to like just viability, like profitability, like for the event to be self-sustaining, or is that not the goal? Like,
I mean, so Borneo Sonic, we've always targeted towards music festivals. I think Borneo Sonic is within that category. But at the same time, like, I think this is a type of event that needs to grow. You'll need probably maybe 4 or 5 years before people. I mean, it was quite good already in the first year. We had some really good performances and acts and stuff, and it does target the younger demographic. But at the same time, I do feel that something like this will need to grow. Even though it was a large scale, it will need to get more momentum before you're able to probably get into profit. I'm quite sure that, you know.
So we have to rely on some form of
Promotion,
tourism ministry support,
of
like
course.
until the point,
I mean, the one good thing that we have here in Sarawak is that the tourism ministry is always quite supportive of all these endeavors and events, because it does, at the end of the day, in the long run, bring in more tourism money into Sarawak.
Do you have views on our signature event, the Rainforest Music Festival?
I've actually talked about this before. I mean, this was our 27th year. Yeah, we've had 27 years already of Rainforest, and it was talked about even after the 25th anniversary of Rainforest World Music Festival, that is it viable for it to move? Now, there was this controversy with Zainal Abidin, who said that it could go to Thailand. I disagree wholeheartedly, because it's our signature event. It belongs in Borneo. But that doesn't mean to say that it can't move. I do believe that we can move it to other parts of Sarawak and make it, or you can have fringe events leading up to the one in Kuching. But it would be great to actually move it to, so that other people can enjoy new, and you would create new people. But moving it to another city for like Miri, for example, poses new and different problems, or I would say issues to solve. Like, for example, we've relied a lot. This year was supposedly, they talked about having 25,000 people attend over the 3 days. And a lot of them fly in through Kuching International Airport. So now we have to say, how does it work if we move it to Miri? You know, those are the kind of things that you need to consider if he was to move there. But I do believe that we can move there. We can move Rainforest, because I don't think, but within Sarawak. And then you could, if you want to move cross-border, okay, then go to Kalimantan.
I mean, do you feel there's a lack of fringe events, like surrounding the actual rainforest, leading up to it or even during it?
I do feel that, because I think we should make the most of, it's 27 years, for goodness sakes. We should have a lot of these fringe events leading up to it, so we'll create more momentum. I'm sure they do, but maybe it's just too little, too late going towards the event. They tell us when the dates are ready. It's 22nd June next year.
Yeah.
You can plan now and make it bigger. You can, you know, and I'm sure they do go, you know, to different countries and all that, but you must have a plan. And to make it bigger, to make it more, you know. But at the same time, I do feel, and I'm sure quite a number of other people do feel, that it's become so commercialized now. So you've sort of lost the soul. And for the purists, yeah, we've lost the soul of the event. But that's the case with a lot of events when they become big, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
You know,
what's
Glastonbury
fun?
this year,
Yeah.
you know, it's like you got Dua Lipa, like sort of unheard of in the past, because it was usually like non-celebrity kind of event. You know what I mean?
I mean, if you have an event that grows as big as Rainforest, which started as a niche event, right? Like who ultimately like owns it? Who ultimately runs it? I mean, do you like the direction that it's going?
I don't say I like the direction or I hate the direction that it's going, but like I said, it's become quite commercialized. Now, what are the objectives of Rainforest now? That's what we got to ask, whether it's Sarawak Tourism Board or whether it's the Tourism Ministry or whoever's in charge of it. What is the objective of having it every year or the next year? What's our theme? Because right now it's just, it's Rainforest, that's the theme. But there must be a theme to it, I guess.
Yeah, so aside from those like big scale events, so the smaller events, that's like, I remember growing up, we used to have live band gigs at places like Katulistiwa. Do you remember?
Wow.
Yeah.
Katulistiwa, well, you used to have live band. I think it used to be a nightclub.
Yeah, I mean, it was a nightclub as well,
Yeah.
but I mean, I remember they had live band gigs and things like that. So yeah, I mean, how do you see just the organic growth of like events like that, and like maybe like I hear you trying to do like comedy shows here and things like that. So I don't know, is it a matter of like just taking the risk and like introducing like small scale events here?
I think we should. You know, and I'll go back to the Rainforest thing. You know, we always try to promote the local artists or the local bands and all that, but they don't have that many avenues or venues to be able to perform locally nowadays. I mean, we used to have, you know, in those days we had live bands everywhere, in hotels and all that. Ever since, I won't say COVID, but maybe before that, you know, there's very, very few places where we have people performing.
Yeah.
And for
like even like open mic nights, we don't even open
not
mic
that many,
nights where we don't even have it.
very rare. And for Sarawak to be promoting all these musical festivals, it's all for the people. But at the same time, these type of events should be able to inspire, motivate the locals to create their own bands and to perform. Again, where are the venues that we're able to do it? Do we have people or even places and shops and stuff and restaurants that are willing to give these people a try? So a lot of it is, you know, for you to be able to have all these events, big events happening, you must also, there must be a spillover effect where you create all these new bands and people who get inspired for watching, you know, for example, Zainal Abidin perform or Kitaro and go, oh, I want to do that. And then find, you know, this is what all these events are for actually. And one of the objectives is to give birth to new performances and new performers. And it should be here because we have all our events here. That's why we have all the workshops to inspire, to teach, and to gain knowledge.
But should it be organic, like from the ground up, or is there anything like the...
Well, it is from the ground up because, you know, the people go to these workshops and go, I'm learning from them, and then...
Is there anything the government should do? I know we always go back to government and it's like a little bit...
I know, it's not like a broken record whenever say you need the government to help you. You know, at the same time, no, you don't need the government. You've got it to do it in your own steam. I'm sorry, I mean, you can't rely on the government to always spoon feed. They've got other, I mean, I'm not saying they've got better things to do. I mean, you know, the economy is one thing. This is entertainment. And as much, and we're very lucky we have a ministry and that really helps promote, you know, entertainment and all that. But at the same time, they're also saying, hey, go out and do this. We're providing you all these things and skills and events so that you can learn from it and do it. But this is where therein lies the problem as well, that when you have these, you know, young talent coming and want to do stuff, no one supports them. So it's like, oh, I'd rather watch an international event. Actually, why don't you watch them grow? it's the same thing I said about Sukma last time. It's like, for our young athletes to be able to be recognized, we've got to support them from the beginning. If you don't, then people won't know them. So yeah, the chicken and egg thing is that. It's like, we have this big event, but we have these young talents, but they're not being exposed. Very few are, but you know.
I mean, how do you unearth like comedic talents from Kuching?
You need to go and do all these, like, so what we did in the past was, apart from having auditions, was we actually did free shows outside, or you know, like, I'll tell you a really good venue, the amphitheater at the waterfront. You could do an improv show, like spontan. In Malay, it's spontan. Whether it's myself or somebody else, we introduce the thing. We have an audience. Everyone just turns up, and then we get them to try the games that we have for improv or spontan.
Just to learn from, but just to learn from like the KL experience, like how did these comedians get discovered? Were they like just like comedic clubs? I mean, would like, you know, like the chicken egg thing?
Clubs. There were comedy clubs. There were open mic nights. There
were a lot of comedians, or
there were a lot of people wanted to try to become comedians. So you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, not everyone. I'm a comedian. Try it, but you have to. You know, Harith Iskandar had his joke factory at the time. Aflin used to have one in Great Eastern Mall.
Uh-huh.
And a few others. There were like other stuff, and now in KL there's one or two, and obviously we talk about Crack House, which got cracked. But yeah, and it was and it's all mushrooming everywhere. And I know. I mean, obviously I've been living here, but I know from my friends that there are other places now, and they combine both comedy and music, which is great, which is something we should have here as well.
But which came first? Like the awareness that there were a lot of like budding comedians out there, or
no, we created it. So you build people like Harith and Aflin, and they built the venue and did the performances and promoted it and said, you want to come, they have to, that's their role, and they've done it. And it's, it's so, their roles in creating stuff like what we've done, a show called Gelak Gempak, where we have our stand-up comedy competition, which prizes unheard of, never done before. They're the ones who got the ball rolling. They're the pioneers in that sense of getting these type of events out.
So do you feel like we just have a lack of a venue or like a kind of outlet?
Well, the venue you can find anywhere. Like, this is my responsibility now. I'm trying to do what Aflin and I have to emulate both Aflin and Harith and all the others that's come after them, Douglas and all that.
Yeah.
By doing these free improv shows out there, so that I could unearth it, and then there will be a snowball effect, hopefully, that will come from there. But if I don't do it, no one will do it because they don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you talk about, you need people like us to do it, because, if someone tries to do it and they don't have the experience, it's not going to work, and people are even more going to switch off.
Have you seen any talent that?
Oh yeah, I have.
Yeah.
Have I seen talent? Yeah, I've seen talent. I've seen quite a number of talent. I've even tested them, and we've done improv. A lot of my acting classes and when we're doing rehearsals, it do involve a lot of improv games, because it's a great indicator of how they think, how they perform. It's actually good for corporate stuff as well. We've done improv stuff in KL for corporate companies to do their team building stuff, and I found that these improv games help a lot in one, make it fun, and two, make them realize that, hey, there are other solutions to the problems that we face, which is really, really great, because once you've given them the tools to do it, and the proper rules to how to play it, mind blown.
So obviously being a TV comedian for quite a long time, and then you know
I was
people
a stage comedian before that. But,
okay.
Yeah.
So like being exposed to people like Harith and Aflin and all that. So I mean, how do you see the industry for stand-up comedy in Malaysia?
Stand-up comedy, you'd have to ask Douglas that. But there are a lot more stand-up comedians now because of them. Obviously, and also MACC, which had Douglas, Poon Chee Ho, Dr. Jason Leong, and...
I mean, we have a lot of shows in Sarawak recently as well, and there seems to be a market for it as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, because we're always starved for entertainment. I wouldn't say it's a market for it. It's like, we always want to have stuff, but our crowd sometimes are so fickle. It's just really like, we're giving you stuff and we don't want it. Then go to KL. I mean, Douglas is going to be performing at Day One Philharmonic. The first ever comedian to be able to perform at the Day One Philharmonic in Petronas. I was like, that's a first. It's like, Harith hasn't done it, Aflin hasn't done it. We've had singers there, yes, but a stand-up comedian, it's like our own Royal Albert Hall.
Yeah.
We're going to get Douglas performing that. How amazing is that? He's doing that in September. It's like, hats off to you, mate.
I mean, do you see yourself as a stand-up comedian?
Oh, I'd have to take a lot of practice to get back to, to be able to do it again. It is a scary, scary, scary gig, doing stand-up comedian. It's
mean, is this something that you picked up from, you learned from your peers, or like you just like self-taught?
No. You got to learn. I mean, I get a lot of tips from Douglas. I get a lot of tips from Aflin and Harith.
So that's what we're lacking here?
Yes. A mentor. Very much so. Improv, you can ask me, because I'm one of the top guys in the country, unfortunately. I'm fortunate for Sarawakians, but yeah.
Yeah. So just back to events. Do you see yourself like helping start like comedy events here and things like that?
I would like to. I want to be able to do that. I jokingly said to Aflin, that if we ever restart Super Spontan again, we must have a team from Sarawak. And we do actually, and they're able to do it. I see them giving real good go at all the more established comedians or the West Malaysian comedians. We certainly have people who are very, very interested in that. Now remember, One Championship, it depends on, because One Championship now also has the ring. They also they do multi-event stuff anyway. So if we were to bring something in regionally, we either create it ourselves, or like you said, we can bring in One Championship. Or if we really want to be bold, then ask UFC.
Yeah.
That would be, but UFC obviously just MMA. Yeah.
You can do that?
Yeah. I mean, we can. Anything is possible.
And just like one final thing, like as fans of events like Oktoberfest or
we've got it good here. What are we complaining about?
St. Patrick's Day, things like that they manage to even export worldwide. Like, how do you think we are at monetizing our own festivals?
Well, who makes the money? That's just a question. The organizer or the sponsors?
I mean, just for the public, like just for it to be even a commercial event. I mean,
without government support.
Yeah. Without government support, just like commercializing our festivals and events.
I think it can be done. Again, Sarawakians are very price sensitive. Okay, so you gotta find that fine line between, is it too expensive or is it too cheap? Because too cheap also people won't go. They're like, we have this perception where if the price is low, It's too cheap, no one's going to go because it's not worth it. But it's too high, we're like, oh, too expensive, I'm not going to go. So it's just finding that balance in between where it was the right price, and Ong was over there, there has to be some eat in there. People will go.
I mean,
and make money from it. But you got to look at your
I mean, I've always felt like, why are people in West Malaysia like celebrating like St. Patrick's Day and like, you know, when we have Gawai and Kamatan and events like that, you know, do you feel it like
they are starting to celebrate more Gawai in West Malaysia now.
we're seeing a lot more,
which is great, you know. But yeah, I mean, you know, St. Patrick's Day and all that, you know, we have a very strong brand here in you know, the Irish coffee.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, we've seen like people in the government like kind of like suggested things like, you know, like a Tuak Fest and things like that. Like so.
Well, we
just your
have, right?
thoughts?
We had one.
A Tuak event,
yeah.
But I mean, like, in nationwide scale, do you think like our festivals should be a bit more?
Well, do you think it will work in Kelantan?
It should work in KL. You know, so yeah. I mean, do you think there's opportunities in like kind of like commercializing our events?
Yeah, I
Just
think
thought
so.
Yeah.
You know, for example, Laksa, right?
Yeah.
You know, there's a big Laksa festival
Australia,
in Darwin.
Darwin, yeah.
So why not have a big Tuak festival in Darwin as well? I mean, make it a yearly thing. Could have like, you know, a competition, because now we have like apparently like different types of Tuak flavors, right?
Yeah.
So that could work as well. But I think they tried to do. I mean, they did it here. Again, you need to grow it first before it becomes viable to be, you know, organized abroad. And abroad, I mean West Malaysia first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, on that note.
On that note, I'm literally just skimming the surface of events because I'm sure I've got a lot more to talk about. But if you do,
I mean, you can go on.
we could go on, but do email us if you have any questions, or if you want us to talk about any issues that's not too controversial. You know, do let us know, because you know we'd love to be able to talk about it. I know
I don't mind a bit of controversy. I think
you've never minded a bit of controversy, like, unless you want to lose your job. Yeah, but from me, Rashid Saleh, the RSS, and the Coachingite Jason Sim, this is us. We'll see you in the next edition of the RSS. Bye bye.